So you're God, and you decide you're going to take on this new project. You are going to start a great nation. Uh, how are you going to assemble your team? Who are you going to pick? If you lined up all the people that ever existed, who is going to make the cut and be your beginning of this great nation? Um, that's the question at the heart of the story of Abraham. Because when God decides, after the story of Noah and the flood, he decides that he is going to begin a relationship and start a nation, and he picks a man for the job. And the man he picks is a man named Abram, um, who lives in Ur of the Chaldeans, and he is 75 years old. He's childless, and his wife is barren. Not a great start if you're trying to start a nation. At the heart of this is, one of the great puzzles of the Bible. Why does God choose who he chooses? Well, throughout the Bible, God chooses unexpected people to do great things. And it's a theme you'll find throughout the whole book. Abram is certainly not the least of these people. And Abram, the story begins with God making a promise. He asks Abram to leave his land, to leave his possession, or leave, all of his family and everything that he came from, and to move to a new land that he was going to show him, that would become the promised land. And he begins to promise to make Abram a great nation. Now, I don't know what you'd be expecting if you were Abram. Whether you'd expected that all of a sudden you would magically be able to have children, and so would your wife after years of old age. But Abraham believes. He becomes, his name changes. His name becomes known as Abraham because God gives him this new identity. But he believes God. It says in the book of Genesis that Abraham believed, and it was reckoned to him as righteousness. It's a line that Paul will take up later on in the New Testament, talking about just the faith of Abraham, that he believes God, even when he seems to have no proof. Fast forward a bit, and when you get to the chapter 17 of the book of Genesis, we read a story where Abram, for a third time, God, for the third time, establishes what we've been talking about, a covenant with Abram. A covenant is a special relationship contracted between two parties. The covenant model was modeled off of the Neo-Assyrian vassal treaties, where a powerful party would yoke themselves to a weaker party, and both would make promises, and both would promise fidelity to one another, and they would sacrifice an animal, as it happens earlier in Genesis. And they would look at that sacrifice. In the case of the covenant ceremony celebrated in Genesis, they split the animals in half. And the symbolism behind this is so as if to say, if I break this treaty with you, if I break this covenant with you, if I break this relationship with you, may I become like one of these split animals. Here we fast forward. God starts making promises to Abram at the age of 75, and in chapter 17 he is 99 years old. And it said, when Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, I am God Almighty, walk before me and be blameless, and I will make my covenant between me and you, and will make you exceedingly numerous. Then Abram fell on his face, and God said to him, as for me, this is my covenant with you. You shall be the ancestor of a multitude of nations. No longer shall your name be called Abram, but your name shall be called Abraham, for I have made you the ancestor of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come from you. I will establish my covenant between me and you and your offspring and you throughout the generations for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your offspring after you. And I will give to you and to your offspring after you the land where you are now an alien, all the land of Canaan, for a perpetual holding, and I will be their God. Abraham believes, and it was reckoned to him as righteousness. He believes God, even though it seems impossible. And here he made it, waiting almost 25 years, having no kid. And at the age of 100, that kid is born. Abram only has one child through his wife, Sarah. But that one child, Isaac, would go on to have two children, Jacob and Esau. And Jacob, whose name would be changed to Israel, would become the father of 12 children, 12 sons, who each would become the heads of the 12 tribes of Israel, the founding fathers of the 12 tribes of Israel. By the time Abram's family moves on and goes to the land of Egypt, they begin to grow and grow and grow, and they become a great nation. And God's promise has been kept. He keeps His promises. It's so big. This small beginning. It's just usually how God does things, is through small beginnings. Is such that now there are three great peoples who consider Abraham their father: the Jewish people, the Muslim people, and the Christian. And each of us look at Abraham as a father. What's kind of interesting in the story as we explore this theme of God becoming a father, how God became our father. It's really interesting to note how God does this by working specifically with a father, and He models in Abraham something that He realizes Himself, that He shows Himself to be a good dad, by guiding Abraham, by keeping his promises, by moving him along, and by blessing him. As we continue our quest to reflect on how God became our dad, we're just going to move on. The next time we meet, we're going to talk about Moses. And after that, David and Jesus. And hopefully as we move along, we feel a little bit closer to the God that we call Dad. That we would trust Him like Abraham would trust Him, and that we would enter into a covenant relationship with Him as well. Hopefully, if you get a chance, check out the link for our session that we met with last time, and the links will be included. And we hope you come and check us out this weekend when we continue our series. Thank you so much, and God bless.